Hello, today we'll be working on adding within 5. This goes along with pages 22 and 23 in your math packet. If you've already done it, you can still watch the lesson and do it along with me, either on a scrap piece of paper or just watch the lesson and follow along. Today we'll be adding 2 numbers, but we'll also have the help of 2 objects or 2 sets of objects that we'll be able to go ahead and use to figure it out. So I have our first example already up on the board. I have 1 counter plus 1 more counter, and we're going to figure out how many that will be. We can use the objects by taking them and putting them together. That's what this sign right here is for. It tells us to add or put those 2 values together. Now I have them together and I can count them. 1, 2. I have 2 counters when I add 1 and 1 together. Also, we can look at the numbers and think 1 plus 1 is 2. Let's move on to the next example. The next example that we have on our page is this equation right here. It also has some objects that match those numbers within the equation. 2 plus 1 equals, and we need to figure out how much 2 and 1 together are. When I take 2 and I put 1 more with it, how many are in this group now? Did you say 3? You are correct. Read the equation with me. 2 plus 1 equals 3. Read it again with me using different words. 2 and 1 is 3. All right, let's go ahead and do another example from our page. The equation that they give us is 3 plus 1 equals, and then they leave a spot for us to write the answer. They also have given us some objects to help us out. This is a good way to think of addition. Eventually, you won't need to have the objects to help you. But when we're getting started, we use the objects to make sure that we understand what 3 looks like and what it is, and what 1 is, and then it'll help us figure out what is at the end of this equation, or on the other side of the equal sign. So we have 3 plus 1 equals, we've got to figure this out. We can move our 3 to this side, and we can move our 1 to this side, and now we have a group. Let me arrange those a little bit differently. Do you know how many are in this group by just looking? You've been practicing your civilizing. Let's go ahead and count them anyways. 1, 2, 3, 4. When we add 3 and 1 together, we get 4. If you remember, we did a lesson a little while ago about what 1 more would be. Do you remember the dogs, and you had to count and then circle the next number to show what 1 more was? These equations go right along with that lesson, don't they? Let's read our equation. 3 plus 1 equals 4. Again with our different words. 3 and 1 is 4. All right, let's go ahead and do one more example together, and I'll let you try page 23 all by yourself to see how you did. Our next example is this equation right here. You may think, Mrs. Parmenter, I don't need the objects. I can figure it out by just looking at those numbers, and it makes sense in my head what I need to do. Well, if you're not there yet, I'm going to give you the objects just like they did on the page, and it looks like they put them in a line. Okay, we've got 4 above the 4, and we've got 1 above the 1. We need to figure out how many that will be when we put those together. Remember, this is the addition sign telling us to add or put together. So we're going to go ahead and slide those over here into one group. Let's count how many we have now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For those of you who didn't need the objects, did you have that number in your head already? Did you figure it out using your fingers? Those are all strategies that you can use to find the same answer. 4 plus 1 equals 5, or 4 and 1 is 5. Now I'd like you to challenge yourself to try page 23 all by yourself. Now, I hope that you have a wonderful time practicing addition with M5, and always practice to see that you can do it quickly.